the tables, and they kept giving them to him.
Wow.
Oh,
Really?
Nice.
I guess, as one thing I always say is when it comes to Las Vegas, when you're in Las Vegas, until you're on the plane or in your car outside of town, everything that you own or everything that you will own belongs to the casinos because they make it easy for you. I mean, they make it so easy for you they just make it amazingly easy for you to take away everything that you own. So,
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't
such a
gambled in
prevalent
Vegas in
rumor.
years.
It's such a prevalent rumor that he's working off a tab that MGM felt it necessary to issue a statement saying that he wasn't.
Oh, really? Wow. So
Which, of course, to everybody
I
here
don't
in
really know
town
if I know
means
somebody.
that he is.
Hey, let me introduce everybody, first of all, to the show. Welcome to our ZoomCast, 223 consecutive episodes in a row. Welcome, everybody. I will just say to you that everything you hear today is an opinion, so do your own research. And the floor is open to whatever we want to discuss. Before we go any further, though, I want to make a paid political announcement to Kavlo, which is opening where? I mean, last week I had it in front of me and I had the notes, but I know you've got a Kavlo coming up.
Yes, we'll be in Kurt Hare's beautiful neck of the woods. We'll be in Seattle, Washington, come October the 10th. More specifically, Linwood, Washington. Beautiful downtown Linwood, as the Linwood Chamber of Commerce would have me say, which is just north of Seattle. Yeah, we're excited. October 10th.
Is it Linwood?
Well, very, very good. Excellent, as a matter of fact. I'm happy for you.
Linwood Convention Center?
Linwood Event Center, I believe, is the technical name. And you might be getting a call from one of your PA partners asking about that event.
I did get a call.
Funny how that works.
And I returned the call and everything.
Well, that's even better.
That's even more stranger.
I'll
You could relate to this. Before we went live, I was saying to him that I called him when I first came to town, and basically he returned my call like immediately. I mean, it was like I had just, it's like, did I miss your call? And but actually, in reality, he's got Michael Maxonitis. I just heard from him for the first time after being here.
Listen,
and I think you could relate to that.
I didn't use any names. You did.
To put that into context. Hey, there's Mr. Ken Porter. To put that into context, Michael Maxon and I live about 30 minutes apart from each other. A couple of times a month, maybe a little bit more often, I'm within a couple of miles of him when I take my daughter to her mother's house. The last time I saw Michael Maxon was at Kavlo, Nashville in April. I have actually seen Ken Porter in person more recently than I've seen Michael Maxon in person. And Ken lives in Nashville.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, you didn't have to go to Florida, at least.
Yeah, there is that, because getting me to go to Florida is a pretty tall order.
If you want to see Michael Maxon, you got to go to Florida.
He has the
he said to me that he's out of town right now. Anyway,
that's part of his territory for Meyer. He has the Southwest and Florida. West Coast, Vegas, and Florida.
Right.
So he is constantly back and forth. And it makes sense. Florida, he has all that background with Disney, so that makes sense. But it's still, I feel for the guy. It's got to be tiring.
I wanted to use his connections here in town so that I could, see if I can get into some shows to see, let Bo see some shows. But we'll see what happens,
But you also came during the slowest. This is the slowest period of the year for shows. The Smith Center was dark a couple of weeks ago for 2.5 weeks. A lot of the theaters are dark because this is their yearly, revamp, retool, maintenance period.
There was a thing on the business channels that this was the worst quarter in Vegas in the past, 2 months, 3 months. They were down like 15% in revenue.
Really?
Yeah, but when you're up 80% over, 3 years ago, we'll concede the 15%.
Are you really
That's-
better off than you were 4 years ago?
Yes, I totally am.
Me too.
Oh, I think we're much better off than we were 4 years ago. I mean, it's a crazy time for all of us. That's all I could
It's
say
just-
it's
listen,
absolutely a crazy
Dan,
time for all of
Why,
us.
why does the screen look like someone's grandma's wall with the portraits on it?
The only thing I
Jan's
don't
doing it.
have right now is the plastic covering over the furniture. That's the only thing I don't have, but I'm
Right.
working on it.
I
I
have a
switch back to gallery view when you do that, Jan.
Yeah. Well, we're on speaker. I like the speaker view more than the gallery view myself, but
All right. I hate to tell you, but I have a 6 o'clock meeting I have to drive to, so I got to get out of here. But I love
well,
you guys.
listen, it's good to see you. Is there anything you
Yeah,
want
good
to
to
say
see you
before
too.
you go?
No, actually, I'm good. I just wanted to say hi to everybody before I ran off to this.
Before you said bye.
Yeah, before I said bye. Yeah,
Bye, bye. That's
Bye-bye.
it.
Good to see you all.
Hit the road, Jack.
You
Bye-bye.
say hello.
Come back again next week.
I have a quick question, which I asked last week. Maybe Kurt, you might know the answer to this. It's been about 8 years since Meyer released the 408 and 816. These Galaxy Galileo things. Have you heard any wind that they're thinking about doing a revamp on that platform, or are they just going to stick with it? Or
Well, Galaxy is the new one. That's very current. That's what does Space Map Go and all of the interface.
yeah, but I went back. It seems to me that was released in either 2016 or 2018. So it's actually kind of maybe
No, it
due
was,
for
it was
refresh.
Galileo, and then it was Callisto superseded Galileo for a year and a half,
A
and then
minute, yep.
and then they unfortunately I only bought one of those. And then the Galaxy has been the new format, and Galaxy Callisto would open a Galileo file, but Galaxy won't open Galileo or Callisto files. It's a completely different file format, and it's a different box inside.
Yeah, all the internals are different. So you're not expecting a refresh on that platform anytime soon.
No, I mean Galaxy's the current box, and it has firmware updates and everything every couple months. So I don't know why they would reinvent it. It's doing everything they need to do, and it's really only a few years old, maybe 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I
that's
remember-
what I think. It's like 5 or 6, and I didn't
I remember
know that.
Space Map Go was very hot for them at Cavlo #1, which would have been spring 3 years ago, spring of 2021. It had,
Yeah, I'm actually going to go up to Berkeley. They've got a 2-day Space Map Go training. I think it's on the 10th and 11th of September. So I'm gonna be going up to that. It's too cool. I don't know really what the applications are outside of a fixed setup. Like a bar or something like that. But
oh no, it's much more than that.
It's being used in a lot of places that you might not realize.
oh, cool.
Yeah, no, you'll enjoy the training. Try to
Yep.
see if you can get there a little early so you can get the tour.
Yeah,
I went on the tour the last time I was up there for the regular training. So yeah, we got to visit the whole thing, which was incredibly fascinating.
Did you see the wall of patents?
Yep, wall of patents. The one thing that we didn't do was going down to the anaphylake chamber that's underground in the parking. We didn't do that, but we did get full factory visit. Went to the little theater that they've got, and
Little theater's cool.
but did you see the rust stains on the loading dock from where the Heinz ketchup 55-gallon drums used to sit?
yes, I did.
Then you've done the tour.
Yep. Yeah, they actually pointed it out. And they're like, yep, look down there. Those are the stains. You can see them. I mean,
Yep.
It's really insane. But
Did you go into Owsley's studio?
Which one is that?
There's a small office and research lab that used to be where Bear would do some stuff, and they've kind of preserved it. They still use it, but they've left it sort of in honor of him. It's not normally on the tour, but sometimes you go in.
Yeah, I don't think we got to see that, but
Well, you'd know if you touched something wrong, you would have known for about a day and a half afterwards.
Oh, okay.
All the way to the airport as they kicked you out of town.
Yep, all the way.
And then see if you didn't already, see if they'll let you sit and play some music in the I forget what they call it. It's the studio that has the blue horn rig in it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there's some guy. I think it's I know it's up on eBay. I think yeah, somebody in like Romania is selling a full blue horn rig for 69K.
Oh, and I'm sure it's completely legit.
That's
Yes,
it.
very,
Honestly,
very
they
legit.
show pictures of the boxes and they got serial numbers, so I suppose you could check it out. But that's still a lot of dough for.
It is, and I would also check with Helen Meyer with those serial numbers because it
Oh
wouldn't be
yeah,
the first time something got diverted and Helen hasn't been paid yet for it.
that yeah, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I mean, coming from
I'd touch it with Kurt's money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had an interesting little experience with a Callisto. Speaking of that, that is actually going to have a little 2-paragraph little story in front of house because of the craziness involved with someone trying to sell me back my own processor.
How long ago was this?
Just a couple weeks ago, but my friend Phil writes for them and works for me, and just briefly, I'll tell the quick little story. So I'm doing a show, a corporate event, and I get a call from one of my guys that does a lot for me in Portland and does some of the casino work down there that we're doing. And he's like, "Hey, this guy contacted me and says he's got a Callisto that he wants to sell. Would you be interested in another one as a backup?" And I said, "Well, if the price is right, sure. It still sounds good and does what I need it to do, and it would be perfect for that overflow gig that we weren't really planning on, grab that thing off the shelf and send it out." So yeah, sounds good. Check it out. And I didn't think anything of it. A couple hours later, he calls me and he goes, "You can't buy this." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because it's yours." And I'm like, "What?" So it turns out that he booted up, the guy brought the thing over to him to sell it to him. And he kind of recognized the little small case it was in and the writing on the, gaff tape on top of it. And he turned it up and the preset came on and it said, blank blank casino 2024. And he mixes for me at blank blank casino. So he's realizing immediately that this thing is mine, and he, it'll all be in the story, but he basically stalled the guy until the cops could get there and got it released back to him and made it back to the casino in time to do the gig. But the amazing part is, though, there are maybe 2 people in all of the state of Oregon who would have understood what the screen name for the preset meant when it booted up, and this guy tried to sell it to one of them.
Unbelievable. How stupid could he be?
Well, he didn't know. How would he know? The one
So
guy.
did he steal it from the casino?
Yeah.
So it's between gigs. He somehow gets in the showroom, steals it, and now tries to hawk it.
Yeah. To the guy who mixes the gig in the casino.
Yeah, and a Callisto's not cheap, so that's felony weight.
Oh, hell
Yes.
yeah.
Well, and there's
And you think he's not stupid? Unbelievable.
it's actually, Mike, it gets a little tiny bit better because he stole it in one state and tried to sell it in a different one.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
Oh, and then you got
that's,
crossing state lines.
that makes
to-
it federal. That they could go
Yes.
for the
I hate to
federal.
pull the rug out from under my buddy's story, but I don't know how many people are going to relate this to that. But front of house is going to run it, I guess.
that's
Just
hilarious.
one of those little blurbs in the beginning because it's so unbelievable that that's how it went down. Anybody else would have not had any idea whose it was, but that guy mixes the show that Callisto's doing. So he boots it up, a couple times a week.
Well, that's good karma then on his behalf to get it back.
Yeah, and the way he handled it was great because he didn't flip out. He's like, "Oh, wait, I got to make a call," and then he just kind of like haggled the price, I guess, and tried to like keep the guy there long enough for the cops to show up. And I'm talking to the state trooper, and he's like, "Normally, if I keep this thing, you're not going to see it for like 7 months." And I'm like, "It's got to show Friday." And he believed us. He's like, "You guys obviously are telling the truth." So he gave it to my guy, and he brought it back, and it did the show Friday.
That's
Very,
great.
very excellent. A happy ending for all of us, except for the guy that stole it. And even then, he got his just desserts.
Well, and ironically,
There you have it.
I'm one processor short for a gig next week, and I'm like, damn, if I could have just bought that thing, it would have been perfect.
So you really do need A
I really
second
do need
Callisto.
another one, but I don't need to buy mine again.
Well,
Oh,
there
that's
is
funny.
there's a 408 and an 816 and some UPM Slims on eBay at the moment from an outfit out of Burbank. It's completely legit.
I have a
So-
408 in my studio. I don't have time to use my studio right now, so I'll just pull that.
Yeah.
And just FYI,
By the
folks, I
way,
know where there's-
eBay just changed their regulations now. On every sale that you do, there's going to be a button that you can cancel the sale instantaneously from wherever and at any time during the
Yeah,
process.
as long as
and
it hasn't
cancel the
shipped yet.
sale.
Interesting. What was the use case for that?
So
Well, it
typically,
seems like a lot of people were canceling and they were having a hard time canceling. So this way now, eBay made it very easy for them to cancel.
yes,
Something
typically
like
what would happen
20% of
is-
all sales get canceled before they happen.
is the way it worked on eBay until recently is if I'm selling something on eBay, once it's sold, as long as I enter the tracking information, it's considered shipped. So all I have to do the moment it sells is get a label and it's considered shipped. And once it changes from sold pending shipping to shipped, you, the buyer, can no longer cancel it. So once it's shipped, so I could then sit on it for another week. And plus the only other recourse you had was you had to contact me through the sale. You'd have to contact the seller, blah, blah, blah. As long as I don't respond, I'm in pretty good shape. I see your message that says, oh, you want to cancel, boom. I run out and I ship it. Then I come back and I go, oh, sorry, I just shipped it. And a lot of people would do that. So what happens now is there's just a button and the button is instantaneous. If you haven't actually shipped it, and by shipping, and shipping now means that the package has been received by the shipper. It's actually in transit. There isn't just a tracking number. Then you can consider the item canceled.
There you have it. There you have it.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
it's
To
almost
answer-
you
to
know
answer the rest of
it's
Chris's-
almost
Christopher's
like
question.
it's almost like Greg. They should have had that on the Starliner up in space right now. That's what they needed.
Yeah.
They needed one of them buttons.
Boy, I
Can you
tell
believe what they're doing up there?
How'd you like to go to a fucking space station? You know, you're supposed to be there for a couple of weeks and you're in outer space for 6 months.
8 months, yeah.
8 months. Oh, geez.
Yeah,
Not
that's-
only that, they can't get. They're not going to send them back down. They're sending the spaceship. They're not sure the spaceship's going to make it, so they're sending it alone.
Here's the other
yeah.
thing is yesterday, the FAA grounded all SpaceX rockets, Falcon 9 rockets, because you know how the stage comes down and is supposed to land either on a ship or on a pad. Well, the last one came down, landed on the ship, and then caught fire and blew up. So FAA is ground. You know, it's probably going to be a 1 month or two weeks to a month grounding, and so unfortunately, there's a private SpaceX launch that was scheduled for Friday, and that's going to get pushed back. That was the one that's going to be on a. They're going to have a spacewalk on it.
Well,
And it's all-
wasn't this
Is
a
that the
launch like
private? Is
last
that the
night or
private?
something?
That private one, yes. Yes.
Could you believe it? I mean, I was thinking about that, paying great money to go up there on a private rocket ship to
30
walk
million,
in space. That's insane.
30 million a person.
Well, they must have
And
they
If I
must
had
have
it, I'd
some
do it.
way of resupplying because they've got to feed those people and they've got to have. There's got to be an unmanned way of resupplying them. They just can't
Oh.
fly back, right?
yeah, oh yeah, but I mean, there's more than one dock on the in the space station, so they'll just send up another a cargo shipment. And
Well, but aren't they sending back the Starliner empty? To
Yes.
yes,
So
yes,
they're
the
gonna
Starliner
because
is
they want
coming
to
back
test
in. Yeah,
if their remote programming fixed the problem.
Well, can you imagine being those people like, yeah, it'll be fine. Trust us. Just get in. It's all
Yeah.
going to be good.
What could possibly
and
go
here's-
wrong?
And here's the killer on that. And they had they didn't bring any suitcases with them, okay, because they had to bring this big urine recycler pump with them when they came up. So they only had the clothes, essentially the clothes on their back. So they're borrowing clothes up there on the space station.
They had
Well,
enough.
the good thing is they can piss. They can piss all they want now. I mean, really, that's it. You don't have to worry about pissing and shitting. That's
They were
great.
supposed to be there 8 days. They had stuff for 8 days, and now it's 8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if they're able to bill for overtime.
No, I bet you they're getting active pay.
It's small.
Well, they got to be getting astronaut pay, but just imagine what it's like. I traveled from Thailand to Las Vegas, and in that period of 3-4 days of traveling, so many things got backed up on me. Could you imagine what it'd be like to go away for 8 months? I mean, to be they don't even have access to really cell phone service.
If I was a communications director at Mission Control, it would be very hard for me to not wake them up with Space Oddity every morning.
Yeah.
I would choose Hal.
Well, that'd be good
Yeah.
Good morning.
Sorry, we can't do that.
too. Good morning,
Good
Dave.
morning. It's time to wake up.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, I guess they must find assignments for these people to do every
Well,
day.
yeah. What they're doing is they're doing the science that because there 2 people are going to be left on the ground on the mission that's coming up in February to pick them up. So they're doing all the science tasks of those 2 people that are being left on the ground so that they can fly home on the SpaceX capsule. So,
Which is now grounded.
well, the boost, the rocket is grounded. Yeah, the capsule isn't, but the rocket is. Yeah, the Falcon 9 is grounded for, well, I don't know until the FAA says.
Without the rocket, the capsule can't get there.
True.
Oh yeah, they don't have to land it. They can just let it go into the sea, and that's it.
Yeah, they don't have a permit.
No, they want it back so they could, they want to
course.
find out what went wrong with it, and they want to repair it because they want to use it. I mean, it's not like a big pen where you throw it away when the ink runs out.
Oh no, it's the first thing they do is they check for the hypergolics. As soon as they get a capsule down, they've got all these sensors, and they run around on the outside to see if anything's going to just kind of instantaneously blow, which it can.
Yeah, like
Absolutely.
like the Delta tires on the aircraft. Did y'all see that?
Yeah, what happened there? I mean, it was in the shop and it blew up, or
Yeah, they were changing tires on I forget what model aircraft it was, but the tire just blew up and killed 2 people.
Was anybody on the plane, or was this in the hangar?
no, it's in the workshop.
The repair shop. But do those planes have split wheels? Because old truck tires killed people too when they had the split rims on them because they didn't get right, or they come loose and break them and blow apart. And the rim, I've seen heard one where I was in a place where the guy had died, and the rim came off and decapitated him.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was my question. Was it the concussion from the air, or were they actually hit by something?
I read that there was metal things flying around when that happened. So I
Okay.
think they
So
were
yeah,
probably
that would
hit.
explain it, because the concussion would be awful, but would it be enough to kill you? I don't know.
I'd be interested to know if that was operator error, or if it was completely.
Well, the article I read said that an aircraft tire exploding like that has the same force as about 4 sticks of dynamite.
Oh, well, there you
Holy
go.
shit.
There you go. Oh, I'm sure those things. I mean, the weight. I can't even imagine what the pressure rating of those tires are. I mean, it's got to be just absolutely mind blowing. I mean, how much does a fully fueled aircraft with passengers and luggage weigh? Okay, yeah, you've got, 2 tires in the front and maybe 4 or 8 in the back, depending on what size aircraft, but that's not a lot of surface area to be holding up that much weight. All right. Oh, I got to run downstairs.
And those tires take a lot of beating, man. When they, when you watch the planes land, they just, they just boom, hit the ground, and then you could see the skid marks, that they leave, the tire that they leave behind.
There also is in the windings or the tread, whatever, that as you get down to the cords, there's white cords and then there's red cords, and that's when it's down to enough to where they have to get it changed. If a red cord is showing, the tire needs to be changed before it takes off.
Yeah. The pilot gets out of the plane every day before he takes off, and actually, or the co-pilot has to physically inspect the airplanes, even the big jets. They do that.
Hey, Greg. They were
Yes, sir.
I was just looking at the SpaceX list or whatever, and August 28th, it's today, right?
Yep.
Supposedly they had a Starlink mission went up today.
Nope. That's delayed because the Falcon 9 is grounded. If you go to SpaceX's website, you'll they'll say they're hoping for Friday, but who knows? But the FAA grounded the Falcon 9 rocket temporarily.
Unbelievable.
August 20th date that they had a problem with that Starlink mission.
Yeah, that's where the problem was. When the booster came, it actually separated between the first and second stage, but the first stage is what comes down. That's the reusable part.
Yep.
And when it got on the recovery ship, it was the name of the recovery ship is Need More Gravitas. And soon as it landed, a fire broke out from underneath, and it blew up and tipped into the ocean.
Are the Falcon 9s the same as the Falcon Heavies?
No.
And then the Dragon is the ship
The
itself.
capsule.
Right? Capsule,
Yeah,
okay.
Capsule.
Isn't the Dragon the Elon Musk ship?
Yes, that's what we're talking about. SpaceX.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't Elon Musk have gotten stuck in the space lab for like 9 months? That would
Yeah.
There's just no luck.
Who's putting up this this private aircraft? Is that Jeff Bezos, or is that Richard Branson? Who's doing that?
What private? Are you talking about this launch on Friday, or
yeah, I guess the spacewalk that these guys are paying $30 million for.
It's an internet. They say it's an internet, billionaire who's doing it. So I didn't recognize the name, so I can't.
Is it the same billionaire that did the let's take a sub down to the Titanic?
Yeah.
My God, could you believe it? That guy they're being sued. The people that were in there are suing them. I can't understand how that could be possible. They knew the risk. They had to know the risks that they were going down there with game controllers controlling that thing. They had to know the risk.
Yeah, I'm sure the disclaimer document had to have been about that thick,
Yeah, but the best is that Bowie's got a song for both cases, right? Under Pressure for the submarine, and then Space Oddity for up in the thing. Boy, guy was prescient, he figured it all out.
That company's in Everett, Washington. It's not far from just 40 minutes north of Seattle.
You're in a rush. Throw it in.
Well, it's insane. It's crazy that I would never have gotten in that tube. Never ever gotten in that tube.
In a million freaking years, and apparently on one of their descents into the water, they had like a cable tie out on the outside of it, like holding some harness together. I mean, a cable tie.
Yeah, I mean, basically, and you couldn't wear shoes inside either. I mean, what if you had to, I mean, you couldn't pee, you couldn't shit, nothing. You're down there. What an experience that would have been. One guy
That's it.
farts and everybody's smelling it. That's it.
I did think I was a little underwhelmed by, there's not even seats in it. It's literally everybody's just sitting on the floor.
Yeah, well, it was an insane thing. I can't believe that, can't believe they're suing him. But those are the kind of guys that would go vacationing in North Korea, evidently, as well, I don't know if you've heard it, but North Korea is now now they're open for tourism. Could you believe it? I mean, what is it possible
Whatever
to see?
you do, don't try to steal a poster while you're there, right? I mean, that
I
college.
mean, go to see a rice factory, that I don't know.
Any rate, my band is here, so I gotta say goodnight, Jan. I will give you a call tomorrow. We'll get caught up.
Yes, let's talk tomorrow. We're starting to feel our oats right now, although Bo is taking a nap right now. And it's really, I mean, the difference in the jet lagging is no fun. That's for sure.
Thing.
They say it can take as much as 1 day per each hour that you're off. So
there's no such
I
thing.
don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, just take you can take melatonin. You can go down and grab that. It does help. So
There's no such thing as jet lag. It's all on your
What do
head.
you call it? What do you call it?
Mild dehydration, and you need to adjust your clock, but you have to do that before you leave.
Yeah. Well, that's why they call it jet lag, so we don't have to use big words. It's for little guys like myself that their vocabulary is limited. That's why we
Just have
call
the
it
time
jet lag.
cocktails correctly.
So what's going on now up there? You're in Portland. How many shows are you doing a week now?
Me, I'm in Bend. This is the Bend house.
Bend.
I did 3, then I flew to Seattle and did some shop stuff and saw ELO and turned around and came back, and I got 2 more tomorrow the next day. Then I fly back, and then
You're flying, not taking the train?
I don't know that there's a train from Bend to.
There's no train to Bend.
I don't think so. Well, there's
What part
freight
of where's Bend at?
Central Oregon, east
How
of
far
the
from Portland?
3.5-hour drive.
Oh, really? That
Mhm.
far? Okay.
It's southeast.
I took
of
a train from Klamath Falls back down to Los Angeles one time.
I don't have time for the train. I barely have time for the airplane.
Well, but yeah, I didn't realize how far you were from Portland. There's non-stops from Portland to Seattle, train-wise.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
And it's so much faster to get on them that it ends up being a better use of time than flying, because if it was flying, you spend so much time just standing in line, waiting, standing in line, waiting.
Well, I got pre and clear in the lounge, so I'm through security in about 8 minutes, and so far it's been pretty good.
Right.
That clear stuff is pretty cool. I was waiting in line to go through TSA myself, and as I was waiting, I was the next person in line. And so the man who was calling people said, "All right, you down here." And I walked down there, and as I walked down there, just before I got to the person, I mean, I couldn't have been any more than 3 steps away, this agent just rushes these 4 people in front of me and say, "These are from Clear. We got to put them through."
Yep.
And I had to wait.
I get the dirty look every time I fly.
Now,
Yeah.
and what was interesting was my daughter and I went to Texas a few weeks ago and learned a couple of things. Learned one thing and observed another thing that we had noticed before. The clear line, the TSA pre-check line probably had 80 to 100 people in it. The regular security lines only had 2 to 3 people per station.
Yep.
But everybody who was pre-check was just determined to use the pre-check, because I'm pre-check. I'm going to go stand in a special line, not realizing that there's nobody in line for non-pre-check. You just went right through. The other thing is Clear no longer accepts PDF printouts of boarding passes. You actually have to have a proper boarding pass, like an old school one, like the kinds you print at the airport, or you have to have the ticket on your phone. You can't just print out a PDF of your ticket and use that for Clear. They won't accept it anymore.
Hmm.
Why would you do that anyway?
Well,
That's
you'd
why
print out your own ticket so that you'd
I
have
always
a copy.
I
of
always
it.
printed out my own boarding pass, and then I'd have it on the phone as an email also, but that's in case I lost the paper. But in case my phone died, I always wanted to have the paper backup, right? So either way, I'm not going to miss my flight. But now it's has to be on the actual airline app or printed at the airport boarding pass.
I think that's kind of anal of you, if you ask me, that you have it backed up so many ways when you get to the airport.
I've lost
But
luggage before. I've left stuff in the cab. It happens.
It's analog.
Analog, right? Like a gamble console. There you go. Like the gamble console. Analog.
The other reason for staying on pre-check is you don't have to untie your shoes and take them off, and your belt and all the other stuff.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm not. 100 people versus 3 people ahead of me. I'll go ahead and take my shoes off. I'm
Was this in which airport was this in?
here in Vegas?
Oh,
Terminal
okay.
3, the new terminal.
Yeah, I find Vegas pre-check is pretty good. I went through LA pre-check and the guy was laughing at me. He says, pre-check? What's pre-check? Come on, let's go. And I went there was no pre-check in the LA airport when I was there. No pre-check. I could not believe it.
And the pre-check here closes at 9 o'clock at night, FYI.
Right. Well, are there flights out of Las Vegas after 9?
Oh, there's flights at 3 in the morning. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, there you have it.
Oh, yeah.
I just learned something new.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I've taken the red eye back to Florida many a time from Las Vegas.
I totally forgot after living here 20 years that there's airports out there that close. That not only do they not have flights, you have to leave. If you missed your flight, if you had like a 10 o'clock flight and you missed it, and the next flight is until the next morning, you have to leave. The airport closes. They turn the lights off and they lock the doors.
Yep, the little one.
You know what really shocked me? Speaking of that, when I left 10 months ago, Las Vegas was a 24/7 town. The Smiths down the street, the supermarket, Albertsons, all of those markets were open 24/7. Now they close at 10 o'clock. I couldn't believe it.
Smith's was because of shrink, because of shoplifting. Something like 65 to 70% of all the shoplifting was happening between midnight and 6. So they just decided to close.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
the 24-hour supermarkets here are all starting to do that too. I was actually in one at 11 or 12 the other night on the way back from actually last night from ELO. And it says 24-hour service right on the outside of the building, and they come over the PA and they announce we're closing in an hour. So it's happening.
And you said to them, hey, it says 24, you're open 24 hours. And the manager came up to you and says, yes, but not in a row.
Yeah. I got what I needed. Got the hell out.
Thank you, Stephen Wright, for that joke. All right, I appreciate it.
How was ELO, Kurt?
It was great. Same band he's had for about 20 years. Jeff kind of relied on the other guys to play most of the heavy guitar stuff, but he sang great, and the band is amazing. It was great. I've seen him once before, so I wasn't going to miss it. I had to fly up just to do it and go back, but my day off, I went to a concert. Imagine that.
Now, when you go to a concert, do you buy a ticket, or do you have such connections in your marketplace that you don't have to buy a ticket? That you got
national tour. I bought tickets. A couple, when Climate Pledge first opened, I probably could have talked my way in, but all my friends that worked there have all left. So 2 years ago, I probably could have just gotten in.
And I get a lot of people who, oh, you live in Vegas, can you get me in here and get you in there? And I'm like, maybe, but I'm not sure I want to burn a favor.
Right.
Someone that I talk to once every 3 years. And secondly, a lot of times, it's not like I would get a seat in the audience. I would get a couple seats in the booth, or I'd get a couple seats up in the hospitality section or something like that. Like, last time I went to see a Cirque, no, that's not true. Last time I went to see Cirque Zoomanity, so this would have been pre-pandemic. Friend was in town and we went to go see it, and we were comped, but we were comped up into the tech booth, which happens to have a little seating section off on the side, like 4 bar stools and a little rail. And it's not like they have just seats out, front row seats that they're waiting to give to the lighting guy's buddy. That's just
No, that's for sure. That's for sure.
that's just not good business.
Yeah. I've never been a big ELO fan, but I will say I did this ASCAP thing where we had Jeff Lynn come in and do an interview with one of the ASCAP people, and he was really funny and engaging, and I had a lot of respect for him when I left hearing that interview, even though I still don't care for ELO songs. But the Wilburys are great, so I'll give them.
You know what I read? I read that band Oasis is getting back together again to do a show, and I was shocked what kind of press that these guys are getting. I mean, I never thought that they were that big, that they would get this kind of press that they're getting together again.
I never thought they were that good.
Yeah.
They're saying that they are going to have more demand for them than Taylor Swift. And I think that's completely
No
not
way.
true. There's no
They're
way.
insane. Taylor Swift just sold out Wimbledon. Well, not Wembley Stadium. How many nights in a row? Come on. That's
3.
insane.
5. Yeah, she broke Michael Jackson's record.
And she probably could have done 6 or 7 if her schedule allowed, or the stadium schedule allowed.
Right.
Oasis. Hang on. I have a resident expert on the matter who happens to be an Oasis fan and a Swiftie. Hey, sweetie. Kayla. Will Oasis, there's people saying that Oasis reunion tour is going to outsell Taylor Swift.
Who's saying that?
Yeah, well, there you have it. My resident expert.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, right from his daughter's mouth. That's it.
Yeah.
She looked like a ghost when she came in because of that background you got going on. The blue screen, gray screen, green screen.
It's just a floating head.
Monkey. Maybe you can meet Monkey.
So anyway, who wants to say something other than what we're talking about? Wayne, we haven't heard 2 words from you down south. What's happening in Australia? You know what I found out? I found out a lot of people commit suicide living in Australia. How are you doing? Are you all right? You need our help? Do you need an intervention?
No, I'm pretty good.
Oh, good.
I'm pretty good. Doesn't that happen everywhere?
No, I hear that one out of every 20 people in Australia either killed themselves or thought they killed themselves. One of the two.
Is that right? Is that the figures? Official ones?
I'm making it up. Why would I know? This is an opinion. Do your own research.
Probably the spiders.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be. You've got more USA's got more deadly critters.
I don't know. Last time I did an Australian tour many years ago, they said, whatever you do, it was an outdoor show. Whatever you do, Greg, you just stay within the venue. Do not go outside of the areas. He said, you'll be dead in a minute.
Where were you?
It was that Adelaide where we were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got
They've
redbacks.
got a lot of dangerous creatures there. I mean, have you ever boxed a kangaroo?
No. They'll box you. They'll box you though.
How big of a box do you need?
Ever eaten Vegemite?
I eat
Oh,
Vegemite all the time.
Yeah.
What about
It's a-
spam? All right,
No, that's white.
No, there's a few critters around that can kill you, I suppose, but no more. I don't think there's any more than like anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got bears. We don't have bears.
You don't have any bears?
You have bears that'll eat you.
We should bring some bears over.
You got the koalas though; those are very dangerous creatures.
Well, the koalas look very friendly, but they can. I think they can be a bit cranky, and they got clawy things. But they sleep for most of the day.
That's because
Wow.
there's eucalyptus leaves.
Yeah, and they eat all day. That's all they do.
Well, that's a good thing to do. They have nowhere to go. They don't have a job. I mean, what else are they supposed to do? They don't
Well,
watch TV.
They look friendly.
So
And
don't
I
they
think-
have sex all day?
Sorry, what was that, Kent?
Don't they have sex all day? How are they going to reproduce?
Yeah, well, I was wondering that myself because they always say that they don't do anything all day except eat, but they certainly make many miniature.
I'm sure they're fucking as well. They're eating, fucking, shitting. I mean, I guarantee you there's a lot of shitting going on over there with them koala bears. I bet they don't, I mean, we have a problem in Thailand with the geckos. They shit while they're eating, they shit while they're walking, they just shit all over the place. I mean, it's like it's crazy. They, you could be talking to them and they're shitting right there, right in front of you. No self-respect on those geckos.
I've seen the
Unbelievable.
cows do that. They'll be
Yeah.
sitting in the paddock and they're munching away on their nice fresh lawn. At the same time, up goes their tail and plop, 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 plop.
You ever go
Oh,
out there cow tipping? You ever go tipping the cows there?
What's that? Tipping
You ever
cows?
do any cow tipping out there where you are?
Oh, I don't know what
I
that
used
is.
to do that in South Dakota. I sure did that, and
Yeah.
and stick a firecracker in cow pies. Yeah, buddy.
Well, I had
I've
do-
never seen.
do the cow
That'd be-
pie toss.
Is that
So,
Yep.
so Wayne, to answer your question, cows sleep standing up. So if you walk up very quietly while they're sleeping, you can literally just
push
tip them
them
over.
over?
But probably 1 out of 3 is going to wake up really cranky about it and is going to chase you. So you generally have to tip and run.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
the other one we had
So
was
listen to this story. This is unbelievable. There was a guy in Thailand. He was from Russia. A Russian tourist got arrested for trying to have sex with a cow. But he was so stupid that instead of having tried to have sex with the cow, he picked a bull instead. And the bull just put his horn right through him, skewered him with the horn. And then the guy in the,
He must
he's
have been
completely.
really drunk.
Was it a
That's
cow
all.
or a couch?
No, it was a bull. It was a bull.
Very nice, Mr.
They're
Mr.
pretty-
Bear. Very nice.
They're pretty placid animals.
You're here
for
all
a-
week, Mike.
for an animal that's so big. Like, if they really wanted to, they could be a cranky animal, cows. I mean, I don't know about that. I've never seen a big, those big buffalo fellas, but they would come after you, wouldn't they? I know that
Yeah.
you can get pretty, there's Angus bulls there's an Angus bull place not far from here. Actually, the sign on the property is the Rock Angus. But they breed Angus cows and bulls and all that sort of stuff. But they can be cranky if they and they'll come after you if you upset them. And,
Yeah, and the problem with an Angus, especially a bull, it could be 3 tons.
Oh yeah.
If it's a big boy, it'll be 1.5 tons, 2 tons easy for an
Yeah.
average.
Yeah, you certainly wouldn't want them to tread on your toes.
What is
You
it,
wouldn't
Mike?
want to, if they hit you, you're in trouble. I mean,
How
it's
does
it-
like potentially dying trouble.
If it's that big, how does it fit in a little schoolboy outfit?
That's a bespoke outfit.
Yeah.
They make good eating too. I'm telling you that they make good eating. Those Angus steers,
And we
very,
have,
very good eating.
Yeah,
We have
they had a thing on TV this weekend on people, the rise in people getting killed in national parks, especially like Yosemite. There's people want to go ahead and like take a selfie next to a bison, a wild bison,
Mhm.
or they decide to go ahead and look into Old Faithful.
Now, Mike, I think you're sharing your screen. Is there a reason you're showing us the Prince story?
Well, it's not the Prince story. This is a page that I follow on Twitter.
Rock history?
Rock _ and every day they post they post a variety of stuff every day, but the thing I like is they'll post like today is 10 historic guitar solos. So, and like yesterday was the 10 top performances from Live Aid, because yesterday was the anniversary of Live Aid, or maybe that was day before yesterday. But anyway, just enjoyment for y'all, or a rabbit hole to go down, if you happen to get lost in it. It's not my fault, but like I said, it's a good handle to follow. Just a little something, a little diversion during your lunch break, perhaps.
Well, very, very nice. I worked for Prince for 2 years.
How many times did he fire you?
He never fired me. Never fired me. Matter of fact, I was closer to. I would sit on one day. We were in the booth, and I was sitting on the couch, and he comes in, and he sits down right next to me. He sits down right next to me, and he calls over one of his bodyguards, and he goes like this, and the bodyguard whispers into the bodyguard ear, and the bodyguard comes up to me and says, "The boss would like you to move over there."
See, I was about to say, if he didn't fire you, then he didn't know you.
But
Yeah. No,
was that big?
it was
chick,
a good. It was a good 2 years.
Was that big chick is bodyguard?
I don't know.
Guy?
I don't know. It was us and them. I worked. I was the production manager for the club, so I don't know. I really don't know. I guess I was a low man on the totem pole, but whenever you needed something, they always came to me for it.
Wayne, coming back to Australia, do you have like county fairs or state fairs in Australia?
No, not really. No, they have sorts of markets and things in little towns, or they might have festivals. Like there's a Tumut festival coming up in a little town, and they'll do music, and that'll be like because they promote their apples and all sorts of produce and stuff. But they don't have
no carnival rides or anything, or no.
Oh yeah, the show runs around. So you have a touring show, and that'll come with a big the tent and depends and each town years ago, they've become less and less and less and less and less. But years ago, it was a major thing. When I was a kid, everyone went to the show. The show was once a year, and it was mainly made up of all sorts of animal things, but people would promote what they're selling, but it would tour, like it would be a touring show. And I think their show is still running around Australia. They just go to each town, and it's a bit, and the Dodgem cars and all that sort of stuff would happen. They bring their.
Do Australian carnies have teeth on all their fingers?
Probably some of them don't, but
so the big question is, do you have lawnmower racing?
Yeah, what was that?
Do you have lawnmower racing?
I'm not sure if we do have lawnmower racing. I have heard of that though.
What
about dinosaurs? You have any dinosaurs? T-Rexes?
I think we do up in Winton, up in the middle of Queensland. The dinosaurs up there they've found. I believe that to be true. Winton's got, if you drive down the main street, it's got dinosaur feet for garbage bins.
Mm-hmm.
They did that as a tourist. They did that as a touristy thing.
There you go. We have dinosaurs here in Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, Michael, I know that you're so on top.
Jan came back.
I know that dinosaurs here in Las Vegas. That's right. So I know that you're well tuned into what's going on in Las Vegas. So what's going on in Las Vegas right now? What would, if somebody said to you from an industry standpoint of view, what would you have to say about it?
Oh, Vegas is strong. I don't know. I still hear people talking about a recession, or I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I actually lost some work today because I can't get to it fast enough. The client just can't wait. And as most of you know, I'm on the install side, not the production side. But yeah, no, it's crazy busy. They've already started building the bleachers for F1.
They built the baseball stadium yet?
Oh no.
No.
The Tropicana is getting imploded on October 9th. As a matter of fact, while I'm having dinner with Kurt, probably in beautiful Linwood, Washington, that's when the Tropicana is coming down, the night of the 9th.
It looks pretty dark. I drove by it yesterday. It looks like it's already been evacuated.
It's completely gutted. You can see right through the building, every floor.
Mhm.
All they're doing now is now they're starting. It's a very small team working there now, where they're drilling or cutting strategic columns and actually starting the cabling for the explosives. So that'll come down in October. The plans for the baseball park are not like finalized, but the final conceptual, I guess, package has been delivered to the county, and the county's evaluating. So far, everybody's saying it looks good and it's what they promised, and it's very similar to some of those renderings that hit the that were on the web a couple months ago with the big arched roof with the green. It was an LED skin on the inside. The scoreboard will be massive. It's not really a scoreboard. It's a giant video wall that's on the inside of this. You can't really call it a roof because it's kind of a separate structure, but it covers part of the park. Yeah, and they just got permission to maintain their gaming license for the property so that they can then, once the park is built, they can then proceed on with building another hotel casino kind of on the backside of the park. So that's happening. Of course, the Mirage closed 2 weeks ago for good. The gates were immediately, blocked off, and the main sign has already been delivered to the Neon Museum. So it'll be interesting come December, because LDI, again, LDI got bumped out of November, their November time slot, because of F1. F1 ended up being a $1.4 billion revenue generator for the city of Las Vegas. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon, unless F1.
I thought a lot of people lost money. I thought the local business people lost money during that.
If you look at and you can Google it easily enough. If you look at the race course, it created an island. The race course, of course, does, it's a lap like any other race course. And if you're inside the race course during the race, you are stranded. You are stuck. They have to pre-position ambulances and mobile intensive care units and fire trucks, everything inside the island during the race, because there's no getting in and out during the race. And for a couple of hours before and a couple of hours after, you're stuck. There is a couple of ways where you can take, you could walk to a certain property and then take the tram, and the tram goes over the race course and it'll take you to another property. And, there's some ways to do it, but getting cars in and out is not possible during the race.
What I noticed is they built some overpasses that I see.
The temporary Flamingo overpass helped, and in certain cases it allows access inside the island, but not continuous access, because they can't risk, somebody driving the overpass thinking it's funny throwing a beer bottle off the temporary overpass onto the race course during the race. So that's actually closed during the race as well. And it's the businesses that are right around there that really lost the most, because they now have no frontage. So you think of the Maxim Hotel, you think of the Shell station that's next to the Maxim Hotel, you think of Batista's hole in the wall Italian restaurant. They lose their frontage to Flamingo. So now nobody can walk in or walk out. So they lost a lot of money. My guess is, and they filed, a bunch of them got together and filed a class action lawsuit. My guess is, if there's 1.4 billion floating around, there's probably $50 million that the county can go to these 10, 15 businesses and say, look, here's $1 million. You're closed for the weekend. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Move on. Because that's eventually what'll happen. But as a whole, it's that old adage about, that old line from the Ocean's 13 or Ocean's 11 movies, right? You shook Sinatra's hand. Anything that's good for Vegas is good for Vegas, and you don't stand in the way of that, right? And if you're going to stand in the way of that, then somebody's just going to help you change your mind about standing in the way of that, right? So when every casino on the Strip showed improvement over the previous year, showed improvement over historical numbers and a lot of hotels weren't sold out. So for example, Cosmopolitan wasn't sold out. They were only, I think, at 82 or 83% occupancy, but they were at 82% occupancy charging $1,900 a night. So they're okay not being sold out if it means 82% occupancy at 1,900 a night is a hell of a lot better than 100% occupancy at $400 a night. They'll take it all day long, right? So it wasn't perfect. It's not ideal, but it's probably not much different than a lot of the other cities around the world that host an F1 race, a street race. So it is what it is. But all that's happening. The city's maybe not quite on fire as it was, say, maybe a year ago, but it's still very, very, very strong.
Well, when they announced the deal originally, it was a 10-year deal, and it was with, Liberty Media, since they're a promoter on it and owned Formula One. So it was all deal for 10 years. So they have 10 years to get it right.
Right. And here's the thing that, there's still, I have a couple of friends in commercial real estate that assure me that it's true that Liberty is looking at land north of the city to build an F1 track, a proper track. And that's
like Texas. Like
the Circuit of Americas, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because at some point, for example, all the hotels that have frontage on the track have some sort of viewing area, and the hotels sell the tickets to that. They give a little bit of that money to Liberty, of course, because they have to license the event. And if they don't, Liberty will just park a video wall in front of that viewing area and call it a day. But if F1 owned a track, well, then 100% of the money goes to F1, goes to Liberty Media for selling tickets and concessions and all the other stuff. So that's apparently happening. But in the meantime, yeah, we're sticking with the city track. It made too much money not to have it come back. As I was beginning to allude to earlier, the challenge is F1 has now pushed any kind of event that was at that same time frame out entirely. So nobody wants to compete with F1. The hotel room rates get astronomical. So LDI and digital signage experience, they got pushed out of their November slot into December. And last year they got a little bit lucky. It was the week before, just because of the way the calendar worked, it was the week before NFR started. This year they're not so lucky. It's right in the middle of NFR. And NFR is the third biggest event in Vegas every year.
That's the National Rodeo Finals, in case you didn't know.
It's the Super Bowl of the rodeo. It's where they give out the biggest belt buckles. And it tends to sell out Vegas all by itself. I mean, when Tropicana, I think last year Tropicana was $400 a night during NFR. And if you've ever stayed at the Tropicana, you'd think you're crazy to pay $400 a night for Tropicana, but that'd be one of the more value-oriented prices during NFR in Vegas. So
that's unbelievable. It's like staying at Circus, unbelievable.
Yeah, Circus just had a complete remodel top to bottom. It's actually fresh and clean, and I've had some friends stay there recently, and they quite enjoyed it, especially given the price. And there's new rides under the Thunderdome, so it's all good. But yeah, we're strong, we're solid. If you're coming to LDI though, or digital signage experience, be ready to pay $400, $500, $600 a night for your hotel room, because that's a distinct possibility. Especially because the Mirage is now gone and Tropicana is now gone. So we just took 5,000 hotel rooms off it, out of inventory, just like that. And they were the more reasonably priced rooms. Nobody's stepping up now to say, oh, you know what? We'll lower our prices to help the people that used to stay at Tropicana. Heck no. It's basic supply and demand. I would expect prices to go up.
But if F1 moves stuff to their own place and takes all that money out of the city, isn't that like an express pass to the bottom of Lake Mead for whoever does that?
No. The thing about up there is they're hemmed in. If they go where everybody thinks they're going to go, and the secondary rumor is they want to do it in conjunction with Burton Smith and have the track feed into the NASCAR, into the speedway in some way, shape, or form, whether they actually use the NASCAR track or they use the infield. because that's an auto right there. You've already got whatever that is, 65, 70, 80,000 seats that are already built. They're ready for you. So, and then have the course go outside and do a few turns up and down and whatever, and then come back and like that. They're kind of hemmed in up there. There's not a lot of room for development for hotels and all that jazz. And they wouldn't even be the biggest event, more than likely, if they did that. Electric Daisy Carnival is 300,000 to 400,000 people every spring up in that area. And same thing, nobody's built a hotel. I mean, you'll find, I think there's like a Hampton Inn, and there's a few other of those kind of hotels around, but there's just not a lot of land available up there because they're hemmed in by the Air Force Base on one side and federal land on the other, BLM land. There's just not a lot of space so people would still be staying on the Strip.
Isn't there some casino
big shuttle coaches
hotels west of was it the 15 or whatever? The interstate that goes north and south by the track
is the 15.
There's like a bypass or whatever that goes, toward the mountains away from the track.
The 215.
And around there, I've stayed at a couple casinos along that one before.
Aliante.
Yep, on that. Is there more growing up there? Is that?
Yes. Yeah. So Red Rock Resorts, which is the current version of Stations Casinos, which is one of our locals company, is building a property up there to spite Boyd Gaming, who own Aliante. Aliante used to belong to Stations. Boyd, when Stations declared bankruptcy, Boyd outmaneuvered the Fertitta brothers and snagged Aliante away from the bankruptcy bundle and for themselves. And that was really the crown jewel at that time of Stations Casinos. It was the nicest property. Red Rock is now. So they've announced that they're going to build another property right down the road from Aliante that will be their flagship, the nicest property off the Strip and better than a lot of the ones on the Strip. And so it's all spite money.
Well, that's good. That's it. Now, there's
Interesting.
one more question I have regarding the Strip. As we drove down the Strip, right by where the Aladdin used to be, where the TP,
Planet Hollywood.
Planet Hollywood. What are they building there?
Was it a big blank beige wall?
Yes,
That is a mall.
they're building a mall.
They're building a mall, but what they're also going to be building there. So the Fertitta brothers, who are Red Rock Casinos, Frank and Lorenzo, their uncle is a gentleman named Tillman Fertitta. And Tillman Fertitta owns the Houston Astros, not the Astros, the Rockets, and Joe's Crab Shack, and Landry's, and the Golden Nugget here in town. And he has decided it's time for him, before he passes, he wants a resort casino hotel on the Strip. And right next to where you saw that big beige wall, he's building a 36-story tower resort casino.
Yeah.
Which has also infuriated Lorenzo and Frank because they don't like their uncle, and they've been trying to get on the Strip for decades, but could never put a deal together. And Tillman basically said in the paper, I don't know why it's so hard to get on the Strip. All you need is a lot of money. Implying, of course, that Lorenzo and Frank don't have a lot of money, which probably Frank's kind of more the hothead. I think it's Frank that's the hothead, one of them. It probably irritated them, but it's always
Whatever
fun to
happened
watch.
to George Maloof? Speaking of not a lot of money, what happened to George Maloof?
Disappeared, as far as Vegas is concerned.
In case you guys don't know, George Maloof built the Palms Hotel, which for a while was the hoo-ha-ha of Las Vegas, off the Strip.
It was such an interesting property because that's when I worked for Infinite Audio, and we redid the sound system at Rain and Ghost Bar, and my funniest Palm story. My funniest Palm story I can tell on something that's being recorded. Very late early one morning, because I worked for Infinite and we'd done the sound system at Rain, and it was the first big Dynacord Alpha rig in the US. I was there every weekend, at least one night, just shaking hands and buying drinks and making sure everybody was happy, right? So it's 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm leaving. I'm hungry. We go to the cafe at the Palms, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to eat. And they sell chopped liver and onions. And I just asked, I'm like, I know chopped liver and onions is popular with a certain generation, but certainly not my generation or anybody younger than my generation. So I asked the waiter, I said, what's with the chopped liver? How often does that sell? And he says, are you kidding me? We sell out every day. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, have you not been here during the day? And I'm like, no, I've never been here during the day. He's like, you should come. And I said, why? He said, it's nothing but retired people. So what George had done that was genius was he bought a bunch of shuttle buses and he was having them go to all the retirement communities, Sun City Anthem, Sun City Summerlin, all these retirement housing communities, and bringing those folks to the Palms every day. And they would gamble and they would visit and they'd play Keno and then they'd gamble some more and then they'd have chopped liver for dinner and then they'd go home. And so I have a saying about the Palms. It's not true anymore, but back then it was from blue hair to pink hair in 12 hours every day, every single day. Because by the time 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night rolled around, of course, the retired people were long gone. They left around 4:30. But all of a sudden your average your average age, which during the day was somewhere in the 60s, maybe 70s, is now in the 20s, literally in a 4-hour span, day after day after day after day. It was genius. So
very good. Yeah.
I'm checking Wikipedia.
I've got to go, Jan. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Thanks, Jan. Great to be in the room with everyone, but I've got to go.
Good to see you, Wayne. Good to see you.
And I'll see you next week.
All right, man. Take care.
Have a good one.
Have a nice walkabout, bud. Have a nice walkabout. So you know what seems to amaze me when I drove down the strip is Donny Osmond now is like his name is bigger than life in front of Harris.
Did you know George
I wonder if he's selling out.
played football?
No, but if you hum a few bars of it, I'm sure I can figure it out.
George Maloof played football at UNLV.
He is bigger than life, damn it.
And
well, there you have it.
Suge Knight was his locker mate.
I had no idea, but I'll tell you what, I think what we should do is say goodbye to everybody on social media, say thanks for coming, thanks for watching. 223 next week 224, and just remember everything you heard today was an opinion, so do your own research. But before we go, is there anybody that has anything that they want to say to the general public?
Folks, if you're in the Seattle area, October 10th, Cavlo at the Linwood Event Center.
All right, remember, click the like button, share the show, and with that, we're off the air. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week, and now we'll talk about the things that